as you know, at least it's my personal opinion that these casinos aren't going to be opening up for a long time. I think it's actually the last businesses that are actually going to be opened. And, we can debate that and we can talk about that, but certainly that's my personal opinion because I think practicing social distancing in casinos is almost next to impossible. Well, the guy we have this on the line with us right now, he works for a company called Screaming Images. Now, you might have heard of this company before. They're behind signs, posters, wraps for organizations like the Las Vegas Raiders, the UFC, and strip casinos. So they've been around for a while, and now they're coming up with innovative ways, if casinos are to reopen, hopefully sooner than later, if it's safe, to make the customers safe and make them feel more comfortable. Josh Garcia is with Screaming Images, and he joins us right now on the line. Josh, I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Josh?
Pretty good. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Sure. So,
Absolutely.
Josh, talk to me a little bit about your company. Give me a little bit of history on it. And then maybe you can go into these new innovative ways that what you guys are developing and have already developed that might work at some of these, gaming tables and so on. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. So, Screaming Images, we've been in business for about 18 years. We primarily, our business is events and obviously the casinos locally, the Strip. We do have, like you said, affiliates with the Raiders and partnerships with Allegiant Stadium, as well as just various different other types of applications like that. And we do build a lot of the building wraps here in town. So as you can imagine, COVID-19 pretty much stopped our business as it stopped the whole city. So at that point, we pretty much had to lay off pretty much 90% of or furlough, 90% of our staff. That was really difficult for us. So Kent brought us to a screaming halt. So at that point, we just really stopped and got to work and really started thinking about what's next and what's the city going to need, and to really, when this thing, passes by, and what's the city going to need and the perception that's going to be needed to really bring tourism back. So we started with our Key Vegas Clean initiative and coined that and essentially started to really think about all the next things, developed a product called Share Shield, and immediately broke that up into 3 different divisions: a play safe division, a ride safe division, and a be safe division. And from there, started flushing out the ideas. People are going to need barriers and shields, we call them, for casinos, movie theaters, different things like that, and kind of retooled our whole operation to really try to bring tourism back, to put people back to work. All these people are going to need to feel safe, really. And it's really a perception thing more than anything. It's, some casinos say they're not interested in it, and that's fine. But it's really a perception, that people want to come back to the city. They want to feel that the casinos and people have taken steps to ensure their safety. And
Sure.
We're all about that because ultimately our business is not going to survive unless we can provide a solution. So
let's talk a little bit, Josh, about these shields. So I'm looking at an image of one of these shields where it looks like it protects you from the dealer, it protects you from one another sitting at the table. But what would you say to people that would say, well, it's not really effective because you're going to be touching chips and there's germs there, and if you cough or sneeze, the shield is not going to necessarily protect you from the germs that can go in the air? I mean, what would you say to people like that, the naysayers out there, and maybe the casinos that are not interested? What would you say to them?
Absolutely, sure. What I would tell you is one, this is just one step of many that the casinos are going to have to take to effectively eliminate all these germs and things. I mean, obviously the cleaning and that's huge, right? And all the disinfectants, they're going to be walking by every time somebody gets up, they're cleaning. Secondly, all the casinos are looking into everyone that we've been dealing with, and we've been with a lot of them. They've all looked into how they're cleaning the chips, the UV light, far UV lighting to actually disinfect the chips, disinfect the areas for airborne things that are floating around. These have all been topics of discussion in our meetings all the time. So these barriers are not going to be this end-all, be-all. There's going to be other things that'll actually help us out as well in this fight to keep Vegas clean.
When a casino tells you they're not interested, what do they give you any reasons why? What do they tell you?
No casino has said that they're 100% not interested. They have said that maybe they're not interested in the slot barriers. So maybe some properties have they have larger properties. So what they'll do is they'll just spread out their slot machines. You know what I mean? So they won't need the dividers in between them, so to say, the shields in between them, I should say.
Okay, so you've got the slot dividers. You've got the ones that I've seen around, basically like a blackjack table. What about something for a craps table? Do you have anything like that you're putting together?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually staring at a drawing right now. So so the way that those will work is the mandate currently is that there's 6 to, like, say, a craps table.
Right.
So we need to protect all the handlers, right, that are in there, the stick man, and we need to make 3 places for the people to be on each side of the table. So those will have clear plastic dividers that mount directly to the table and that stand, pretty tall, that basically kind of shield them. And I really think that it's important that a lot of the naysayers out there, and I've, read some of the reviews on some of that have been out there, and they're almost like, they're so negative, and they're like, this will never work, and causing more problems. And the biggest thing is that these things disappear. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but if you guys would have to sit at one, and when you sit at it, because I was one of those naysayers, and here I am designing them.
You don't even notice it, you're saying.
And you don't even notice it. And I'm designing it thinking to myself, this is going to be so horrible. Like,
right.
What am I doing? And when we put them up, and it's just like, I feel so much more comfortable now. You know what I mean? Like, I would feel more comfortable sitting at this than I would at anywhere else at a craps table if I didn't have somebody.
Well, and I think that
coughing on me.
You've got a lot of people that play slots because they're introverted and they can sit there by themselves. And you go to a craps table, you go to a blackjack table, you're expected to be part of the conversation. You're kind of expected to be involved with everybody else at the table. But now you've got your own little phone booth, basically. You're more or less isolated. So it actually is kind of an introvert's dream. How many casinos in Nevada, or not just in Nevada, but actually across the country, have put in orders with you guys so far?
So the response has been phenomenal. Immediately, our phones have not stopped ringing since, we've actually started getting suppressed, the original reports. We've had to bring back our staff. It's been, the response has been phenomenal. It seems like a lot of people are really interested in the table games right now. So, we've got a lot of orders in with the table games and more to come. We are working so diligently on getting all these orders in and through the shop and out the door, so that we can get these places up and running. There's no set date. I don't think anyone's really set a date yet on their opening, because there's obviously other things that they're having to do as well, which brings us to the bigger picture of what we do. We're ground format printer. A lot of these properties, local and national, they're going to need other things too, like social distancing signs, different things like that, that we can obviously help them with. And, a lot of different ideas coming, and we're just trying to stay on top of it, stay innovative, and really encourage our fellow, businesses locally to do the same. Come up with some ideas and give us a call. We'll help you with them as well. That's really what's going to set us apart and really try to get this city turned back on.
So Brian and I both play poker quite a bit, especially in person. Is the poker will the divider or the barrier that you're going to use at the poker table be the exact same as the one that you're going to use at the blackjack table, or will there be something different for that?
So it'll be very, very similar. It'll be the same material, same concept. It's just I believe the difference is how many people can be at the poker table versus the blackjack table right now under mandate. But you had made a comment earlier about the phone booth. You really have to be there because it doesn't block your voice. You're literally sitting next to the people and you can hear them all the same. It's amazing. It's like, because it's just real thin and it just disappears. I was told some people had made some that were, there was other companies out there that were making them kind of elaborate and have like chrome or, like metal and different things on them. And that's really not what this really wasn't our goal. Our goal was to make it disappear and really make it people not even know that it's there. Literally, it's been an issue because if you didn't know it was there, you may walk right into it. So we had to come up with solutions to make it like so that people aren't running into these things, because they disappear and they look amazing. Like when you realize, like, oh my God, that thing's there. It doesn't take away from the aesthetics of the casino or anything like that.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Josh Garcia, Screaming Images. They've been in Vegas a while now, and now they're coming up with these innovative ways, in a way, these shields that, I don't know how much they protect people. And that was, I guess, my next question. Listen, I have no doubt, Josh, it's going to give people a sense of security. It would give me a sense of security. But can you give us any scientific evidence of how this can actually prevent someone from getting the coronavirus? Have you gotten any scientific evidence from doctors or any I know it's a very difficult thing to test, but can you give us anything from that standpoint of how it can actually prevent people from actually contracting the virus?
Sure. So absolutely. So right out the gate, when this first started, we were contacted by a lot of people about making barriers for the medical industry, right? And a lot of companies like ours went to work on getting the acrylic and making acrylic barriers for the medical world, because according to the CDC, this is a droplet-based virus, right? People throw out the word airborne. It is not airborne, according to the CDC. This is droplet-based. That means that simple barriers will stop this, So if someone next to you coughs and it hits a barrier, it's now on that barrier, right? So now you clean that barrier is now, the virus is gone. You know what I mean? So that 100%, at this point, according to the CDC, which we're in constant communication with, we're following all their parameters with acrylic barriers, and right now this will stop it. But the key is that you have to be able to sanitize it. So we have solutions with the spray and the chemical solutions, and all the properties out here are already looking into all of them, and they're making sure they're going by the CDC guidelines. Now, the key is to get a solution that doesn't damage the acrylic. So that was probably a little hurdle that we had to cross, but it seems like that was pretty quickly overcome.
And so does a high amount of alcohol content damage the acrylic, or what makes the acrylic damaged? As far as a sanitizer, from a chemical standpoint.
So it's the high alcohol content, which is known to kill the virus, right?
Right.
It can damage the acrylic. So and mind you, the kind of acrylic that we're using, it is a little different than the normal. It actually, we kind of steered away from plexiglass or certain types of acrylic. We really took some research to find the right product to use that, say, for example, people are at the casinos, they're drinking, they fall into this thing. You would hate for this thing to break and create shards and cut somebody. So we really want them to be able to kind of take a beating, so to say, right? And be a little bit flexible so that if they hit them, they're not just going to break. They're more or less kind of bounce into them,
Yeah, so, you don't want to run into it, break it, and then fall into the person next to you.
Exactly.
So it sounds to me that this is
kind of made to be more durable, have a little play in them, a little more pliable, not so rigid. Which some people they're like, well, we want them rigid, and it's like we have to talk them kind of through the process that we went through in coming to why you don't want them rigid. You don't want them 100% rigid.
Sure, and I'm glad that you guys have been in contact with the CDC, because I think that's very important. It sounds to me that this is certainly a deterrent for coughing, sneezing, that sort of thing. But as you know, and I've been gambling for 20+ years, some of the most dirtiest things that you could ever touch in the world. Not our producer Jason Stein, although that's definitely one of them. But in all seriousness, I'm talking about casino chips. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you would agree with that. Casino chips have a lot of germs. They're very dirty. Have you guys talked about that? And is there anything that a casino can do to help prevent, spreading anything from the touching of casino chips?
Yeah, sure. No, that's what I was saying. The UV light that they're looking into is what I've been brought into. Obviously, that is not, we don't do that. But that is some of the conversations that have been had while we're actually out there in these empty casinos, talking to all these, executives and going through the process of prototyping these products. So, they have solutions that they are going to put into place that are essentially going to decontaminate these chips because it's just such a dirty thing, So
Sure, no question.
So, yeah, they're going to decontaminate them. They're going to have processes, and all those will have to be submitted, I believe, before they'll even be able to be open. They have to have their plans in place.
Speaking of dirty, I have to bring up strip clubs for a second here. I know that you guys are implementing casinos and table games, and I think it's great what you're doing, and I think it certainly has a good chance to work. And I wish you the best of luck with this product. I want to talk to you about other businesses like strip clubs, like restaurants, any place really that has a business where you got a bunch of people that might be close to one another. Do you think that this product can be implemented, and you could implement this sort of thing in other local businesses like those that I just mentioned?
Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of where our product Share Shield, it branched off into 3 different categories, right? So we have Share Shield Play Safe, which is primarily our casino barriers, but we also have Ride Safe, which is going to be primarily for Lyfts and Ubers and limousines and all those different things, right? That'll shield them from the front to the back. People are seen those before. I mean, maybe sometimes you didn't want to see them in the back of a police car, but people have seen those. But also, yeah, absolutely. The strip clubs, we've kind of talked about it, but and we've been in contact with a couple of them. We really haven't seen that. I mean, they're not open until stage 4 anyway. So I think we've seen more people hitting us up that are part of stage 1 opening up, which is going to be like the transaction barriers. We're seeing a lot of people talk to us about transaction barriers. So these are small businesses. I mean, you're probably seeing them if you're going to the store. They're, in between you and the cashier. But, yeah, absolutely, check-in areas, movie theaters, restaurants, nail salons, barbershops. These are all things that we are 100% creating right now in our shop.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me be very clear on this, Josh. If you have a product that can maybe save lives, at the same time help people maybe get back to some normalcy of everyday life, I am 100% on board, with what you're doing. And I really do appreciate you taking some time to join us and explain your product. And I wish you the best of luck and many fortunes. I think you guys are doing some good stuff. And it sounds really interesting to me, and it might be new life, the new everyday life for not just people in Las Vegas, for people across the country. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Josh.
For taking some time to join us. Josh Garcia from Screaming Images. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Very interesting stuff. Wow, it's very innovative, to say the least.